All right, guys, welcome to another Galga TV podcast with me, your host, Tom, and
Daniel, your other host.
come on, man, you got to do like a mysterious or sexy voice.
You
And
like
make
what do
it
you mean?
sound
Like
exciting.
I'll practice that. We'll see at the end. We'll see what I can come
Oh,
up with.
all right, okay, for the goodbye.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be like a
Yeah,
nice, sexy goodbye for the ladies.
and and today, so take it away, Daniel.
Okay, so we're talking about boxing, but more specifically right now, Jake and Logan Paul and their presence in boxing, and I guess how it's affected that. So right now we're looking at the article that I found, which was basically showing that he earned $40 million. I think it was in 3 fights. I think it was. This could be
So, okay,
scroll down here.
so that's Jake Paul, right? That's the older brother, right? From
No,
what I
he's the younger
understand.
one.
Oh, he's the younger one.
Yeah,
Oh shit.
I think. I believe so.
Well,
I'm almost
was he
positive.
the first one to get into boxing? Because I kind of like when I heard about it, like they were
I think it
both
was the
already.
older one. To be honest, I'm not too sure exactly how it started. Like, I don't really
That's-
know too much about their YouTube stuff. I had heard of them when they were doing YouTube and saw like a couple things here and there, but never was too into that stuff. I don't think they really marketed to my kind of demographic. So,
Oh, okay.
what about you? Did you really know much about them before the boxing?
Well, I knew about them from funny enough from my buddy Daystorm, right? That I did a bunch of videos with him, and then was then on. He kind of almost sort of like stopped doing YouTube, and he went to this platform, right? This was an app. A few years back, they basically shut down, but it was called Vine. I don't know if you
Oh, I remember Vines. Yeah.
Yeah, so he went to Vine, and then him, and then both of the Paul brothers were there, and a bunch of other people like creators. But they kind of were like they sort of like made that app, I guess, what it as successful as it ever was. So there was like I don't know, maybe like 10 of these creators. Dayston was one of them, and the two Paul brothers. And they just did like dumb shit. I mean, like Daystar, my buddy, he did kind of what he did on YouTube at short form, which was like music and comedy. But these guys kind of did, and I'm sure somebody probably uploaded these like Paul whatever brothers Vine videos. But they became huge on that platform, and they just kind of, from what I remember, they did like these kind of dumb shit, basically.
Like pranks and
Jackass
stuff,
kind of.
right? Oh,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
like stunts too, like Jackass type stunts.
Sometimes, yeah, like maybe not like as dangerous as a jackass, but kind of yeah thing. And then after that, I remember like that Vine thing died. There was an interesting actually story that we can maybe talk about at one point, but
Yeah, I
'cause
never knew what
heard
happened with Vine. Like, I thought
Oh
I
yeah,
just assumed Instagram kind of killed it when they started doing like the little clips too.
no. So I actually think, well, I guess it's my opinion, but I think it actually, you could say Instagram, or at least Instagram videos kind of took over after Vine died, because basically what happened is Instagram was already around, but they were kind of more just for the photos, and Vine was just like took over, the app market for Android and iPhones when it comes to short form videos. Like they were hitting on all cylinders. And what happened though is Daystorm and like that, all those top creators, including the Paul brothers, they basically, majority of their viewers, majority of people who would go to Vine were people who were viewers of. Oh, my son is here. Bye, buddy. Good night. So yeah, majority of those basically viewers, right, that used to go there were pretty much subscribed to one of those creators. So what those creators did, and I know this because kind of know, I'm not gonna maybe say everything because I don't think Daystorm wants me to say it, but well, long story short, they realized they had the power to negotiate a deal and make the platform even better. Like they had some really neat ideas, right?
Right.
How to improve the platform, how to make it so that creators can make money, because they were kind of tired of with a lot of the things. And one of them was monetization, but also other things like control and how much control the creators had and all that stuff of what happened on YouTube. And they kind of were tired, so they A lot of those creators went to Vine, were very successful there, and then they basically went to the guys who created Vine and told them, hey, listen, we have an opportunity together to create like a really amazing community. They said, we're the talent, we're the creators that bring, majority of your audience. And you guys are, you guys have a great platform. Let's work together, right? And they obviously wanted to have a deal with them, right? And also, also financially, I guess they wanted to get a cut of the earnings and stuff. But basically what happened is from, I guess as much as I'm willing to say, the creators of Vine basically just did not want to even negotiate with them. I guess they thought, and now I'm speculating, but I'm guessing that they just thought, whatever, like the app is successful because of us, because we created a good app, not because of these, these kids that make these kind of dumb little funny videos.
Right.
And
that's the wrong move.
yeah, and so what happened is then all those creators, like those top creators, just joined and said, all right, fine, so we're quitting. And they literally quit and Vine died. So just kind of shows you how things, and then yeah, I remember.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? The story of Blockbuster with Netflix. When they came to them, well, just because Netflix came to Blockbuster with a deal, and Blockbuster
like in the early days?
In the early days, yeah. There's a story about it. I think there might even be a documentary about it where they approached them. Netflix approached Blockbuster with a deal, and basically Blockbuster laughed them out the building. And then, next thing you know, Netflix becomes the biggest thing, and Blockbuster becomes obsolete because they didn't, I guess they were too... they had too much power at the time. So they didn't really expect they're like, who are these guys we're going to make a deal with? Like streaming wasn't anything back then, right? So, they didn't really see that coming. But interesting. It was an interesting story. But I just feel like it kind of is like sort of like a comparison because they came to them and approached them with a deal that probably could have saved their app. And I guess they were too proud to take it.
So you don't know the details of the deal, I guess, that they had in mind, but...
For
Blockbuster
and Netflix?
Between Blockbuster and Netflix, because at that point I know, like early days, Netflix just did videotapes too, right? Or DVDs, I guess, rentals, right? Through those boxes.
Right, exactly. Let me see. Yeah, see, there's an article here. I'll send it over to you so you could take a look at it. But yeah, it's basically like the article says, is they try to Blockbuster could have bought Netflix, so they were trying to sell their company for $50 million, but the CEO kind of thought it was like like a joke. You know what I mean? So I guess he didn't take them too seriously.
So Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for $50 million. But I guess that's the whole thing. At that time,
it was nothing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're the shit, and Netflix is nothing. So they thought $50 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell is that? But at the end of the day, if they, well, I mean, it's easy for me to say because it's hindsight's like 2020. But I feel like if they actually really thought of it, the streaming was very clearly the future. Ordering things from home.
But this was September 2000, man. I don't know. At that point, many people didn't see. Because remember, this is 2000. This is still before the dot-com bubble really, right? Burst. And then also before YouTube, before, most people in 2000 did not have internet. Like I remember I had dial-up internet. It was not fast enough to watch video. And then the few sites, I remember like AOL Online, like they had some videos you could stream, but it was horrible quality. So I guess they just thought, whatever, right? I mean, it's... in hindsight, everybody's a genius. But I mean, now it's funny to hear this, that you're saying, that they had a chance to buy them, and they literally were like, pfft. And then that's the company that basically took them down, I guess. Or one of the companies.
It is, yeah, the main company. And, it makes me wonder, like, what would have happened if Blockbuster actually took that deal? Like, what would they have done with that technology, the streaming technology? Would they have still kept their storefronts? And, like, who knows? Who knows what they would have done? I bet they regret that now, though.
Yeah, it says here, the idea of DVD by mail rental service, which was all that was possible in the era of slower download speeds, was catching on, but not quickly enough for the company to be anywhere near profitable. It's interesting times. I mean, remember, year 2000, a lot of interesting things happened with technology. And
oh, yeah. Yeah, that was like the main...
that's when Amazon really started taking off, too, and like...
Exactly.
A lot of new things. But yeah, so that's as much, I guess, as I know about. Well, no, and then I know about the Paul brothers. I heard, now I don't know whether this was before the whole YouTube or and Vine fame or after, but they were on, I think, or at least one of the brothers was on a Disney channel, I think.
Yeah, I heard about that only recently. I didn't know that they were on like Disney stuff, but apparently they were doing something with Disney like a long time ago. Around that time.
And then next thing I knew, both of them were doing like YouTube videos, and they were pretty much killing the game. Like they had this whole squad and like literally like millions of kids, like followers.
Mm-hmm.
And I say kids because they were like, I think majority of them, I think, were like teenagers who would follow them. And they literally, like, even if they, like somebody dissed them online, they would just tell their fans, go over there and like, show them who's boss. And these kids would just leave like all kinds of nasty comments. Like they were dedicated. It was almost like a cult following, it seemed to me. And then I like, all I remember from them is like, I think it was the Logan or Logan Paul, I think the older brother, who was what do you call it? He basically went. Well, he did like a bunch of really stupid pranks. I remember he was this one in Venice, Italy, where he jumped in one of the canals and like police chased him or something like that.
Oh,
but then I remember he went to Japan. Yeah, he went to Japan.
That one I heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, about that suicide forest.
Exactly. Yeah, he took a film of a guy.
And after that, I know
he
got like a lot of finally hate. Like, and I think to the point where even YouTube, like the people at YouTube stepped in and kind of said, we don't want to be promoting this kind of stuff on our platform. So they made changes, I think, to the platform. And some people even thought that these guys, the brothers, would get banned because of the stuff. But I do remember, I think he apologized for it. I'm not sure.
He did. But I mean, they all do. Like all the YouTubers that when these things happen. Yeah, usually, I mean, well, not even just YouTubers, just in general. Most entertainers are just... apology video, it's coming. You can feel it. But
so he did it, and I know that all I know afterwards is that he kind of laid low, and then next thing I hear is he's announcing he's going to be boxing. I think it was another YouTuber, right? I forgot the name, but
I think that was KSI that he was boxing. I believe.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. And so to tell you the truth, when I heard it, I thought, what the hell is this? Like I just sort of thought that he was like those husband, kind of destroyed his career online kind of thing, doing, and also he created this really image of this immature kind of stupid like pranks and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I thought nobody's going to take him seriously as a boxer, but I don't know, man. I mean, like once I first of all saw him fight, and I'm kind of, I'm not a boxing expert, but my father was a boxer, was amateur, kind of going into professional, but then he basically decided not to continue because he had a family to take care of, but also he didn't want to be brain dead because he told me a story of one of his friends, I think it was, or just another guy he trained with who basically got knocked the fuck out, and the guy was just, in a wheelchair kind of
boxing
out of...
boxing is no joke. It's pretty dangerous. I don't know if you saw recently that guy that... he was there was two boxers. I wish I remembered one of their both their names. But he got hit, I guess, really hard. And after they broke up the fight and they were about to continue, the other boxer went to the corner where nobody was and just started swinging like at thin air, like as if he was fighting a ghost, right? So obviously the blow did something to his head. And I don't know if you saw this, but he ended up dying.
I saw the clip. Somebody I think was sharing on Instagram or somewhere. I saw it, and at first I thought it was almost a joke because it looked kind of.
Me too. Yeah, but he died. I don't know if you heard about that. That's what they were saying.
Oh shit!
Well, it was a brain injury. Apparently, he had a brain bleed, so it was blood on his brain. That's why he was, I guess, hallucinating, and he was fighting the air. It looked like so.
Yeah, I mean, boxing or UFC. I mean, those are dangerous sports. I know. I think many people don't realize it because it's televised and all that stuff, but. No, it's dangerous. Like that's why I remember my father said that each time pretty much you're fighting or like sparring, like seriously, you're just losing brain cells and makes you like gives you tendencies, I guess, to be more violent after two or just I guess go kind of get a little unhinged. Mm-hmm. You lose control. So my father basically decided like, no, that's it's too much of a risk, and he he quit. But I do remember like he would teach me the techniques, you know. And
I was gonna ask that. Did you end up doing any boxing? Like, did you pick it up or just what he showed you?
No, I not to the point where I would like go in like some gym or ring and sign up. But I mean, it did inspire me later. Like I was a kid by the way. I was like 6, 7 years old. Like you know, and he was already teaching me. And I remember though that later, like when I was like 13, 14, that's when I really got into like karate and kung fu and like you know did the whole class thing and everything. But also, it did teach me. I mean, that was mainly the reason why my dad was showing me the different techniques, because he was always showing like where to hit, where not to hit, how to hit so you don't break your hand, that kind of thing. And he always said, if you basically somebody's messing with you, don't bother talking back, all that stuff. Just either think about it and be like, either is there an escape, and if the guy's bigger, don't just look for an escape and then you run, or if you have a chance, then you pretty much sucker punch the guy before he has a chance to think. So, and he showed me how to do it and all that stuff. And then if a fight broke out, then also how to defend myself. But that was kind of more for self-defense. And I did use it a few times when I was a kid. I remember like got into these stupid fights.
But never any like sparring though.
No, not like where I mean, we did. I remember later, like when I was in my late teens, we did a few of those, those kegger parties and stuff with buddies.
Yeah, when I met you, I remember. Well, not as I met you, but the first time I came to your house, you guys had the gloves.
yeah, exactly. So one of those, I think it was one of those fog parties, right, where you filled the whole house with smoke and.
Yeah. You know what? I think it was. I think it might have been.
Yeah, and that's when we would. Yeah, exactly. So that was like that dumb shit that we just did where thing. And I remember though one time, this was just purely innocent. We were just like sparring, but put a bunch of guys who were drinking, right? Not that we were like pissed drunk, but we were just drinking, and you kind of lose control. And I remember I literally the worst injury I had is I pulled like all my muscles in my jaw. It hurt like a bitch for like, I'm not joking, like maybe like 2 months. And I went to the doctor, and doctor's like, well, there's nothing you can do. You just gotta like try.
Wait, how'd you do that?
Literally, I was all being cocky and kind of friendly sparring with a friend of mine, and then, but he was just way bigger and he has way longer reach with his arms. And
he just hit you in the mouth.
I was going in to hit him, and he just stuck out his arm. He was kind of holding it, and I impaled myself on his hand, pretty much on his glove. So it hit me here and then like on my chin, and just stretched my mouth out, and oh man, that hurt, and like shook my whole head.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was just. And I do remember after that time I was like, because it hurt for so long, so badly, like when I would eat, when I would talk, it just was a constant reminder that I was like, nope, I'm not doing this dumb sparring stuff again. Like you really, you need the head protection and all that stuff.
And even with that, like I've done that before, like some sparring with head protection, and it hurts a lot more than you think it would.
Oh no! Oh yeah. So
it really does.
Sparring then?
Yeah, a little bit. And it's the first time I got hit, I remember thinking like, what the fuck? Like it just rocks your head back. Like it's like the headgear does very little. It does very little. I'm sure it probably helps you to stay conscious, but it does very little.
And I'll tell you, like that's also one thing I learned from my dad early on is, if you get hit in a specific way, especially on the jaw, which then has all these muscles connected, that kind of, it creates almost like this sort of a spring mechanism that will shake the living crap out of your brains, and that's it, and knocks you out. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to even hit that hard, but if you get hit, especially in the chin, in a specific way, you can really knock somebody out pretty fast. And so knowing that's why, boxers always, gotta hold those hands up and protect the chin, because it really is dangerous. And like if you really get hit there, oh man, I mean that can, again, I guess could kill you, because it just
anybody could get knocked out at the right hit. Well, that's what makes boxing exciting, because it just boils down to one shot, right? Whoever can hit the person in the right place, the right time.
Usually in the first few rounds. I mean, I used to watch boxing before, like UFC, when that's all we had really when it comes to competitive fighting. I used to love watching boxing, because it was like that danger, excitement. It was like, those first few rounds was always a big risk of like somebody gets knocked out. But after like the fourth, fifth round, pretty much you knew, okay, now it's just everybody's exhausted, and it's now just who can, kind of stay the distance. But then you had people like Tyson or whatever who they could surprise you in the first round or in the ninth, or the
Exactly.
10th,
Yeah.
so.
Just you never knew exactly when it was coming. Really, with
Yeah.
him. That's what made him
I
an
remember.
exciting boxer.
Yeah, I mean another one of my favorites is De La Hoya.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Oscar and him.
Oscar. One of my favorites
Lunix.
is. Oh, Lennox
Yeah.
Lewis. Yeah. Yeah. He was dope.
Lennox
He was
Lewis.
dope. And Roy Jones Jr.
Oh, and him too. Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
phenomenal.
there's a lot of great fighters. Obviously, I wasn't old enough to watch like Muhammad Ali, for example, right?
Right,
Or
right.
Cassius Clay. Watch him fight. But I watched all the fights afterwards, like playbacks, and he also had like an incredible style. So I mean, yeah, I do appreciate boxing, just like I appreciate now UFC. I maybe don't watch it as much as I would want to, but I don't know. How are you? You watch fights a lot?
I'm probably about the same as what you said. Like, I think, funny enough, before the pandemic, I used to watch the majority of fights with UFC. The odd fight with boxing, like growing up, was mostly when I used to watch. But I think that's kind of how it went for everybody. Like growing up, I'd watch boxing, but gradually, when I found out about UFC, like around like Ken Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, those kind of days, that's when I started gravitating more towards UFC. And it's just I want to say it's more exciting just because there's more places it can go, and the fact that if you kind of know the different divisions and kind of what you value in watching MMA, then you know which weight classes tend to be the better ones to watch. Like if you're kind of looking for more just knockouts and like a slugfest, you'll probably want to stick with like the heavyweights, and the lower in weights is more. The lower in weight you go, it's the more technical it usually tends to get.
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, I at least for me, I enjoy all weight classes simply because I find that you always obviously with the heavyweights, like you're looking more for those big haymakers, the big power punches or kicks. Whereas the lighter weight, like it's a lot faster. They might not have as much power, but they move around so fast. And usually with the lighter classes, like they're really, like I just find there's a lot more technical stuff. Like you can really pick out, and that's kind of also what I find that a lot of the boxers or people, in the UFC too, the fights, that the fights in the lower weight classes are more decided by the technique, not as much as power, basically. Although obviously in weight classes, heavier weight classes, if there's somebody who's got the power and the technique, like Mike Tyson at early on in his career, like anybody that got close to him, that's it. They were gone. Like he was, you had to. It took, I think, a while for other fighters to realize, well, when Mike Tyson, you got to fight, from a distance. You got to keep him, with the jabs, keep him away, because if you let him get on the inside, that's it. I mean, he'll murder anybody.
Exactly, and that was the thing with him, is he was, even if you tried to keep him on the outside, he was going to get to the inside because he had some of the best head movement.
Well,
right?
but
he was
but
good
then
at the bobbing and the weaving and coming in with the peekaboo style, and
he was good in that. But there were eventually, other fighters who kind of learned how to kind of keep him at bay with the jabs and stuff.
Like
so.
who do you think did that well, effectively?
I mean, the famous fight of where a certain body part got eaten, right?
Oh, Holyfield! Oh, don't even get me started
we-
on that fight. That fight, I remember. I saw that fight live.
Did
Honestly,
did you see that?
I
The products that Mike is a marketing genius now.
the ear products that he came out with.
Yeah,
I think
Mike
they're,
Bites,
like
I think they call
weed gummies or weed something. I think.
Yeah.
Something
But
like
it's
that.
just the fact that they're in the shape of a bitten ear.
Yeah, he's good at marketing. Like he turned probably what should have killed his whole career and his fame in general, and he made it into something like hilarious and like into a product. He's making money from it now.
Yeah.
But I think in that fight, I don't know, did you watch that fight live? Or even just watch that fight, period?
I think I watched it live. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Or I don't know. It's been years ago, but
So to me, just from my my own perspective watching that fight, I felt like, not saying it was justified, but just the fact that Holyfield was just headbutting him constantly and busted open his eye, and like he was doing his own dirty stuff. It's just the reason why people don't remember that, I think, is just because Mike just took it to a whole other
Exactly.
level. Like, so he just took it way
When
too
you end
far.
on that high note, then nobody
Exactly.
remembers the
No
other
one
shit.
remembers
No,
the
no, no.
stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
No one remembers
mean-
what led up to that. They just remember that.
Yeah, like now that you mentioned it, yeah, it was frustrating. It was kind of almost like another fight that kind of frustrated me was Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. Like I remember, I liked both fighters, and I was really looking forward to the fight. I thought, okay, like they're both great fighters, but they're both so different. And in the end, Mayweather won, but it was on this kind of technicality and kind of bullshit. Because basically, at the same time, I gotta give it to him. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya can be pretty deadly, but then Mayweather is a genius when it comes to basically, avoiding the shots and kind of just getting in close and hugging and just tiring out the opponent that way, and then just scoring on like
Philly
easy
shell
body
defense.
Yeah. So he just has amazing defense, and then he'll kind of get you with, once you're exhausted, he'll get you on points with just body punches. And so he doesn't make for the most exciting fighter. That's why I didn't usually enjoy watching.
You don't think so?
Mayweather? No, because too many times I found that he was just, instead of like actually putting up your gloves and freaking swinging and punching, he's like, it's like watching two guys hug, right?
But that's like, that's his style though. I think he uses the beginning rounds to figure you out, right? So it's a lot of dodging and blocking and.
I know, but if I wanted to watch two guys hug, I don't know, I'd watch Brokeback Mountain or something. Like to me, I want to see people, two guys fighting. So sometimes it was annoying, and I remember that fight with Oscar De La Hoya really frustrated the living crap out of me. But then at the end of the fight, and I remember there was a big controversy. There was obviously the camp people, Floyd Mayweather, he's the best, and blah blah blah, and they would shit all over Oscar De La Hoya, and vice versa. But I kind of had to step back and be like, well, I mean, okay, he won the fight. He was a smarter fighter, you could say, not as exciting to watch, because Oscar De La Hoya really did put on a show. So he wasn't as exciting to watch. He wasn't a thing, but he was smarter, you could say, right? He knew how to beat the thing, and he was also
impressive. He's able to dodge a lot of shots. He's able to get in shots. He's a wicked counterpuncher, and it's just, I guess it's the technicality, because I guess you mentioned UFC. A fighter I'd compare him to is GSP. GSP is very technical. Like his fights might not be the most exciting. I remember when GSP had a fight with Josh Koscheck. It was like a jab fest. I honestly, it must have been a record. I've never seen one person take so many jabs in a fight, and it was in a way it was boring. But when you kind of think of it, it's still really impressive, right? So, and you can't really hate on him because he won. So at the end of the day, that's kind of what matters.
Yeah, I mean, and then seeing him retire early on, and then suddenly he joins, and then he comes out of retirement to fight one of the Paul brothers. I mean,
yeah. Well, he came out of retirement before that too. If you remember, he had a fight in I feel like it was in Japan against. I want to say it was like it might have been a Japanese kickboxer. I feel like it was in Japan against a Japanese kickboxer.
Okay.
But I could be wrong with that. I didn't watch the fight live or anything. I ended up, because I knew what was going to happen. They tried to hype it, which they have to do, because the kickboxer was undefeated. But I mean, I don't think he had that many fights. Like, I think it may have even only been like a 5-fight or not that many fights. And even still, he's not Floyd Mayweather. So it was an exhibition, but Floyd just destroyed the guy. I'm pretty sure the guy cried after too. So yeah. So
I gotta watch that then.
But that's what Floyd does. Floyd makes it look like there's a chance this the other guy is gonna win, and then he picks him apart. He's too good. Even with this fight here with Logan, it's just people.
I mean, what did you think? Because at first I thought he really, because remember there was that whole drama where he took off his hat somewhere. I forgot they met somewhere in public.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't him. That was his brother again. That was Jake.
Oh yeah,
Jake was there at the press conference with Floyd versus Logan. And
now when you look at him here, look at him. I mean, he's bigger, right? I'm saying Logan is bigger, and he's obviously way younger than Mayweather, but he's. But at the same time, Mayweather, he's got that technique, that killer, defense that just tires you out. So you can see how, I think, Logan was here. He was basically just trying to go for like a big punch to kind of show, hey, look at this, so he could say I knocked out or whatever, kind of dazed Mayweather because he's a thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, because he lost on points, right?
He lost. He got outpointed, but
yeah.
Honestly, like,
but I mean,
I don't think like if did you watch this whole fight?
I did watch it. Yeah, I remember I watched it.
So what did you think of Logan's boxing skill? How would you rate it?
I mean, so I'll tell you this. So when I first heard about he's going to be fighting boxing, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's a joke, right? Here's this, YouTuber / whatever, Vine, jokester and thing. When I saw the fight where he fought that YouTuber first, I was impressed. That's when I realized, no, this guy is an athlete. Like, he's not a, maybe he did dumb videos, but he's also capable, physically. And he's a big guy. I mean, that's one thing. And he really clearly was training, right, to get the technique. By the time he got into fight in the ring with Mayweather, though, I mean, you can see the level of technique that Mayweather has versus Logan. Like, Logan is,
it was like night and day.
Yeah, like, so Logan, he's got, he's younger, he's got more, stamina still, he's got, power too. But he's kind of just seems like a wild dog, you know what I mean? Against somebody who's like just like a, silent kind of killer almost. So
right, like I think he was nervous too. Like, if I'm guessing, I would assume that he was nervous, which who wouldn't be nervous going against a boxer that's literally one of the best of all time? Yeah. Even if they are, a lightweight boxer, it still doesn't really matter. But I think he was a little nervous just because I found that his technique it wasn't as good as it was in previous outings that I've seen. Like, it didn't look as, like, he looked like he was like a little bit more worried, and like even if you look here, it's kind of like there's not really a lot of good technique with these punches, and he's keeping his hands down, like they're not really up. You know what I mean? And I think that's just all a part of that famous saying Mike Tyson has when he says everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. I think his skill, not his skill, but his technique kind of went out the window a little bit after Floyd lit him up a couple times.
Yeah. I bet you that too. But I also think, like, I'll tell you this, at the end of the day, the fact that at the end he like really almost played homage, like I'm saying, Logan played homage almost to Mayweather after all the BS, like all the stuff they do to get the fans. He played homage. He kind of, said thank you and this and that. And he really just said, I think, what at the end of the fight, I remember he said pretty much, I think, what he really felt like, meaning that this fight was nothing more but a great way to put him up on a pedestal. Because now you can't say, oh, he's this YouTuber guy who's trying to be a boxer. No, this guy is a boxer who just, fought a fight, and he stayed in the ring, for so many rounds against a fighter like Mayweather. So that right away puts him on a thing. So, and he also, acknowledged that he's just not as good as Mayweather. Mayweather, despite his age, he's an amazing fighter. But he basically said, I forgot what his last speech, his speech at the end of this fight was, but it was something along the lines of like, he really respects Mayweather, right? So respects him. And yeah. So he really and I think that was also what I would say is a great genius of both of these brothers. Like, whether you like him or not for all the dumb shit that they've done over the years, they know how to make money. Let's just put it that way. They know how to.
And I find Logan seems to be a little bit more respectful in terms of he doesn't trash talk like Jake. Like, they have like two different personalities when it comes to this. So they're like promoting their fights.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because he's older. Always the older brother is the one who always watches out for the younger. But
maybe they're playing good cop, bad cop.
Or that too, yeah. I mean, like I said, like I it's clear that the beef that they had with Mayweather was kind of, was at least part of it, but not all of it, was just put on to sell the tickets, right? To get the pay-per-view.
Look at those shots. Do you see that hook?
Yeah.
Just that.
So yeah, overhand. So I mean, they're but that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, he knows how to put on a fight, right? He knows how to put on a show, not only just a fight, but he knows how to put on a show. Well, both of the brothers do, right. And which is respectable, because also when you think about most professional fighters, right, like whether UFC or boxing back in the day, to be able to make the kind of money that these two brothers are making, I mean, to first of all, to get into any professional fight, right, where you're actually getting paid to fight, you first got to put in years of fighting as an amateur, getting the wins under your belt, and building a name for yourself. You got to become marketable before somebody's gonna, a promoter's gonna put up a whole lot of money to try to promote your fight, get you those tickets sold, get a big venue like this booked. And the fact that these brothers did it in like a matter of, what was it, like 3 or 4 fights? I mean, they literally made a name for themselves. And I can see also why Floyd, decided to accept this challenge, because at the end of the day, I don't know whether it was an easy fight for him or not. But at the same time, he came out of retirement, fought one fight, and I'm sure he got a nice big sum of money, right? Because how much did the brothers make? Like I think you told me here.
It was $45 million in about 3 fights, which on that same article they said.
So that's for Jake, right?
That was for Jake,
younger.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a lot of money.
Which they said that actually that put him ahead of the only boxer that's actually on that Forbes list, Canelo Alvarez. It put him ahead of him. So,
holy shit,
he's actually the highest paid boxer, according to Forbes.
So think about it. All these fighters over the years, none of them made as much money fighting all these fights and risking, really their life. Like I said, to think. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Can you imagine that? How much would that piss you off? you dedicate your whole life to it, and somebody just is just like, I think I'm going to start boxing.
Yeah,
and they become the highest paid in the world within 3 fights. That's crazy. Yeah. How mad would that make you?
And I'm looking now at this, like here they're comparing it to some of the other athletes. Interesting. Oh, so you see, it's quite a turnaround, they're saying here in this article from Forbes. It's quite a turnaround for Paul, who turns 25 next week. I mean, in fact, 25 years old, and this guy's already like done all this marketing, stuff that's making him so much money. Mm-hmm. And it says early in 2018, YouTube demonetized his channel amid the backlash to a video his older brother Logan had filmed in a suicide forest in Jamaica. Oh, so they did demonetize his whole channel. And I know they were making killer money on YouTube already.
Oh, yeah, they were for sure.
So, like, to have that whole thing demonetized, like I said, most people would just be like, oh my God, it's the end, I give up. Like, because it takes you years to get there and to make that kind of money, to build that audience, and suddenly YouTube demonetizes your whole channel. I mean, that must be a shocker. But at the same time, look, these brothers didn't do that. They just simply said, you know what, let's move on to the next thing. So like they still use their YouTube more to promote their fights, but they just, they knew how to market themselves. So
yeah, they found a way to make it work.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, again, I don't know them personally. I think I might have met the younger brother when Daystorm was. I don't remember. I was in LA once for a shoot with him. I might have met him, but again, this was in those days when they were like nobodies, pretty much. But that's why I also think now, if that was him when I met him, I remember he had like the Justin Bieber hair, but he also was a big guy. Like I remember when I met him, and I saw him, like I remember just thinking to myself like, oh man, that's a big guy. He's not a pushover. That's
tall?
For sure. Yeah, he was. Well, maybe he was tall, but not.
Or
he
was like muscular too.
But he was just his shoulders and everything. You could see he was.
Like an athlete.
Because I think they played football or something when they were. Again, I'm just speculating from what I heard, but holy shit! I mean, yeah, they did. What FBI raided his home in August of 2020 after a video showed him at a mall as it was being looted, but he did not face charges for it.
I remember when that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually remember that. I thought when I actually saw the video. Just because it was floating around on the internet, and I remember seeing the video, and I thought that he heard about the looting that was happening and just probably drove over just to shoot a video. So I'm like, oh, this is probably just like a stunt just to make it look like he was looting. And maybe that's what the FBI thought. So they were like, let's just make sure. And they raided his house.
I guess they didn't have any evidence.
No, I don't even think he probably wasn't looting. I mean, what is he going to loot for? He was at that point. He was already making a lot of money. I think it was just content for his channel. Yeah. But obviously, that's not smart content to go
but
film,
I mean,
right?
at the end of the day, I also don't agree with a lot of things they were doing. I remember with their YouTube videos, but maybe they're complete dickheads in real life. I have no idea, but I do know that that they're whether you like him or not, these two guys are definitely somebody to watch out for because they know how to make a lot of noise and how to basically become marketable, right? And that's gonna mean that's why now they're able to sell out these big arenas and bring out people from retirement like Floyd to thing.
Did you see that clip that I sent you with Mike Tyson?
Let me
When
see.
he was talking about what he thought of the Paul brothers in boxing.
Let's see.
Jake Paul, he keeps saying he wants to fight you. Do you want to fight him?
That could be very interesting.
It could be interesting.
I never took it really serious, but yeah, but that could be really interesting.
Do you think that he is skilled?
What do you
Looks
think?
like
You
cut
think?
off. Well, it looks like cut off, but essentially, like basically,
Let's see.
there was a
Okay.
rumor going. Yeah, that was just like a small clip of it. But essentially,
Yeah. It's. Then let me play the rest then, because I thought that was it, but.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's spending all my money on cars.
Oh, that's one of your what? What is that? A Ferrari or something?
I don't
there?
know. It's a Lamborghini.
Are you microdosing or are you taking a lot of them?
Mike is a funny guy. Okay.
Vizzy.
Commercials, of course.
You know, YouTube gotta get them advertising
Oh,
dollars.
those are the bites.
Does he know
Yeah, they're the
that
ear bites.
You're doing this?
Well, that's not a Vander's ear.
Oh, okay, all right. So this could be any ear that you bit, yeah.
Could be that guy's ear.
That guy probably shit his pants.
Thinking about you. Sorry about biting your ears.
I will consider that now.
Like Mike now seems like this kind of a really cool
Very
grandpa kind of
annoying
guy.
on a flight
Yeah, he's
with
pretty
you.
chill now.
And somebody,
Which flight? Which plane?
well, yeah, it happens a lot. This one, I'll refresh your memory here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do not know
This,
what's happening.
this
do
I
not
thought
know
was
that
kind of
guy.
like, this guy was an idiot. I mean, he deserved to get punched.
Who in their right mind, like Mike Tyson is literally the last guy on the planet that I would mess.
I know.
around with. And especially in a small space where you can't even escape. Like, look at this idiot.
Exactly.
And this guy kept going and going and going, and so then you did this.
Oh, that's not me.
Oh, that's not you?
That's not me, man.
The face.
Well, I mean, look at that guy's haircut.
Do that look
Come on.
like me?
No, it doesn't
That's
actually.
not me.
That tells you everything you need to know right there.
That's not me.
Do people bother? Do people try? They want to get like, oh, I mouthed off to Mike Tyson.
Hey, listen, I'm usually good at these things. and
Yeah, you
stuff.
do. I've seen you be very, very patient with people.
I just guess it was his number.
Just
He's a funny guy.
He was in the wrong seat.
No, I was wrong. That should have never happened. That's me back in my primitive child stages. I shouldn't have done it, but I was just irritated, tired, and high.
Look at him being the
pissed
bigger
off.
man.
Yeah.
Happened.
I'm
That
still
guy
glad he
deserved
did
it.
it. To be
I don't
honest.
want to hurt.
Oh, yeah, I also think so.
I think Mike thinks so too. He's just trying to do the political answer, you know, just be
Jake Paul.
positive.
He keeps saying he wants to fight you. Do you want to fight him?
Oh, here's it.
That could be very interesting.
It could be interesting.
I never took it really serious, but yeah, but that could be really
Do
interesting.
you think that he is skilled enough to make it something that you might actually want to do?
He's skilled enough, yes. I'm going to give it to him. He's skilled enough
Oh.
because he's winning.
Uh-huh.
Even if he's fighting guys that your guys don't believe are good enough fighters, they should be able to beat him,
Right,
right? But they can't.
right.
So he's beating people who really, he shouldn't really be beaten. We got to give him that credit. He's beating people that he really should not be beating.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
And he's doing good, man. For a guy that he's just doing it, and this is good. And he's doing so much good for boxing. Listen, this guy got 70 million people following him every time he fights.
Right, yeah.
The champions in the world don't have that many people following them. So what he's doing to
Exactly.
boxing is just sensational. No one should be hating on that. They should just care. Let's just fight him. He's helping everybody get money.
So
Why are
would-
people mad at him?
So that's something you might be interested in.
Is everything possible?
I completely
Gotta
agree with
happen
that.
this year. Gotta happen this year.
And then if you beat him, will you beat other YouTubers? Will you go after, I don't know, like Mr. Beast or,
Mr. B.
There's a big possibility I might be the YouTube champion.
You might be the YouTube champion.
I'm pretty sure Mike would be the YouTube
championship.
champion.
And perhaps
That's a great idea.
get all the YouTubers to get, plus myself, and we all fight each other.
I like that. I like that idea a lot. Well, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming. Always.
Even at this age, Mike Tyson. I don't think there's any age where I would fight him.
I know. I mean, how old is he now, actually?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would say he's probably in his 50s.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I would consider fighting him if he was like in his 80s.
When he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be practically crippled. And then I'll go after him.
It's like, I just want to make sure, guys, before the fight, he can't actually get up from the wheelchair. Right? It's like, yeah, we're pretty sure.
That is an oxygen tank right there, right? Like that is, he can't really breathe properly, right? Like,
yeah. And then watch you stand in front of him and he just like moves his leg and you're like, and run away. Oh, man, I couldn't blame you. I mean, that guy has fights. So. Okay, so this is Jake Paul. So that's the younger brother. No, he's also a good fighter. I mean, I think both of them.
I think he's the better fighter out of the two of them.
Oh, really? You think so?
Oh, for sure. Well, he hasn't lost.
Let's see here.
The older brother has a tie and a loss. Jake hasn't lost yet, and he's knocked out all of his opponents.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
So which one of the brothers started first?
I believe
like
he's knocked out all the ones I've seen him fight. So
okay.
Except for Tyron Woodley, the first fight.
Did both of the brothers start fighting at the same time, or?
I believe so. Yeah, this was this right here. I believe was Jake Paul's first fight, and he was on not the undercard, but he was the co-main event with his older brother. This is the same card that Logan fought KSI.
But he's fighting because they're fighting with the helmets I see and the
it's like amateur fighting, right? And actually, I'm pretty sure this guy here is the younger brother of the guy that Logan's fighting. They're brothers. So it's brothers versus brothers.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this is the full fight you got here.
Yeah, just to watch, I guess, a little bit of it, just so you can kind of see his skill. I think, you can kind of even see, too, like, although this was his, I guess, first real fight, you could kind of see that he has a little bit more, like, he's keeping his arms up a little bit more. Like, he looks like he just has a bit more form than Logan does. And this was earlier. I think he actually ends up getting better over the next few fights.
Because this is what his was like second fight or something?
I think this might have been his first. His first professional, if you count that as like a professional fight, which I think it still does count. But
yeah, I gotta tell you that now seeing also Mike Tyson comment on it, like on one of the brothers, like seeing, I mean, what they're doing is, again, like him or not, these two guys, I mean, you can't deny their genius when it comes to marketing, but also the fact that they're bringing again passion back to boxing. Because I personally I love again the UFC, but I also love boxing. Like there's just something about boxing I find is there's just different techniques, right?
It's the gentleman's sport. Well, actually, I think it's also like a little bit of nostalgia too, to be honest, because I watching it made me feel like what I used to feel like when I used to go to like my uncle's house to watch like the prize fights. So it's been good.
All right. Let me see here. Oh, you can still see the fight here?
Yeah.
Okay. I got some messages that popped up. All right. Yeah. I mean, I also find, like I said, like you mentioned, like it's different basically. Right? It's different than UFC, but I do think the sport was kind of dying, and now look at them. I mean, they're able to even now during the whole pandemic and everything, like fill out these arenas. I mean, this is not something light. I mean, this is like we were talking before. Some of these big fighters back in the day couldn't do that on their own.
Exactly. Yeah. There's been a lot less interest in boxing over the years, ever since I think after like Tyson, really. You know, you had some guys after that, like you got Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and some other good boxers, all good boxers. But I think what they're missing is that personality. There's a lot of guys that have the skill, but you need to have some kind of personality to hold people's attention. And I find a lot of the new boxers don't really have that. Like
what do you mean? Like do you think that Jake and Logan Paul, like they have Like what are you saying? Like outside of the ring, like outside, like just the
Yeah,
whole
they
drama
just
and
have
all
a
that
kind
stuff?
of, it's a certain type of like a star kind of quality, like a
Oh, okay.
personality that people like. Even you either really like them or you really hate them, and the people that like
Yeah.
them want to see them win, and so they tune in, and the people that hate them, they really hate them, and they tune in because they want to see them get their ass kicked. And
Yeah. That's true.
it works for them. It's like Conor McGregor, right? That's exactly what he used to do.
Yeah.
He talked so much shit. He backed it up most of the time, but you know, the people that liked it, like me, like I honestly, like I like some good trash talking. So like fighters like that, I enjoy them, right? Like I love good shit talking. So that works for me. But then I have friends who can't stand shit talkers, and they hate like guys like Conor McGregor. So, but they watch the fight with me for a different reason. Like they want to see somebody shut him up, right?
Yeah.
So
No, to be honest, I'm like, I guess like some of your buddies, because I don't particularly enjoy the trash talking, but when I see like for example in that fight against Floyd, when Logan like at the end of the fight kind of again paid homage to him and said thank you and all that stuff, like that's when you realize okay he was doing it for show, and it worked. It got a lot of, because kind of like you said now too, like I almost maybe wanted to see Mayweather kind of wipe the floor with him, because I was like, this fucking little prick, like shit, saying all this shit, you kind of you start like believing it and going like, this little prick, I hope he gets his ass basically beat. But in the end, he recovered, I think, well. He what he said and what he did at the end of the fight, and yeah, you could say, and it's kind of like, I also realized that sometimes, yeah, you can't, I guess, believe all this trash talk and everything, because it is part of just the showmanship again, and this marketing. Because I remember, again, back in the day when Oscar de la Hoya and Floyd Mayweather are going to be fighting, and then it was this, and they had multiple fights, now that I think about it. And I totally missed it, but for all of the fights, like you kind of believed they were like these rival enemies and they hated each other. But then at the end, you realize they were just business partners, and they enjoyed the fight and all that stuff. But then that I think I forgot now who. I think Oscar de la Hoya started his own promoting company. He signed up, I think, Mayweather, and
Golden Boy Promotions.
Yeah, and then they kind of thing. So, they realized that at the end of the day, they were just, this was all just for show, and it was good. They put on a good fight, but at the end of the day, they also are smart with the career, which you gotta be. I mean, any of these kind of sports, whether it's this or like those athletes who go into Olympics and stuff, and then they after that maybe or even like supermodels, right? I mean, there's only so when your career depends on your youthfulness. At the end of the day, you really do gotta know how to make and basically how to milk it, because otherwise all you're gonna end up is you're gonna be this basically, he was a boxer like 20 years ago, now he's cleaning the floors at a mall or something, because and sadly that's what happened to a lot of these really great fighters from like the 20s, 30s.
Yeah, there was one that was famously, he was cleaning up the arena that he used to box in. I wish I remembered which boxer was, like from
really?
around the era of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, there's a good film with Russell Crowe, the Cinderella Man. Have you ever seen it?
No, but I have heard about that movie.
Yeah, you should watch that movie. It's a pretty cool film, very authentic, like historically to the times, because it basically happens like at the end of the 20s, and he's like this big shot boxer, and it's a true story. And then the stock market crash happens in 29, and then all throughout the 30s, I mean, like most Americans, and most people outside of around the world were starving, was horrible conditions. And this guy literally, like when you see some of these scenes, like they're done very, very well, where he comes home and he's a big tough guy and all this stuff, but suddenly this big tough guy, all he can do is like they have like a slice of bologna for the whole family to eat, and then you see these cute kids come out. And the kids are like, "Mommy, I'm hungry." And then the father, you just know he worked his ass off, because then by this point he's like a nobody. Nobody remembers him fighting, and he works at the shipyards, I think. And then I just remember there was this scene where he comes home tired, and then he wants to eat. You just know he's like super hungry after a whole day, and then there's this one slice of bologna, and he cuts it up and gives it to his kids and just watches them eat, and kind of makes them smile, but at the same time holy shit, like this guy's. And so there were many people like that, who are these great fighters, but once things got bad financially, then people just forget about him. And in that case, like the Cinderella Man story is really interesting. What happened to him afterwards, but
that's the classic boxer story. I remember hearing Mike Tyson say the same thing. He said people stop calling after, until it's fight time. You don't hear from anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike Tyson is interesting too. From what I heard, even before he became he pretty much got almost adopted by his, I guess, the guy who's going to become like his trainer, right? And then he died.
Customato.
Yeah. And
I read his book. It was a really, really I would recommend his book to anybody that's into boxing. And honestly, just overall, like his book was just not even if you're not into boxing, just because, it had that triumph story, from rags to riches. It had a lot of comedic elements. There's a lot of sad stuff, a lot of just interesting, just seeing how much money he went through. Like the whole book is just, it's a really good book.
Oh, I gotta read it then. Yeah, I mean, I from what I heard, it was also an interesting story in terms of like that he, because you usually think about like if you I remember back in the like 90s or like even late 90s, most people when you told them Mike Tyson, oh yeah, he was a great fighter, but he's an aggressive guy. He's just whatever, he's a rapist, right? Because he was accused. Maybe he was convicted.
He was convicted, but I don't.
He was.
I never believed he did it, and a lot of people, I think, don't believe that either. But I guess that'd be another topic for another time.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. I mean, we don't have the evidence in front of us, but when anything's possible, right? Especially when you have people who are celebrities and that they're loaded, then it's easy to kind of attack them in that sense. Or maybe he did do something, and we don't know. But at the end of the day, I'll tell you that. Especially seeing him now, Mike Tyson, I kind of see that, I mean, he's just, just like most people, he was trying to make his way in the world, and he came from a shitty neighborhood, I guess, shitty family, and then he kind of was pretty much adopted by this guy, and this guy, he did a lot of great things for him, trained him and all that stuff, but he also, I guess in one way, kind of put him on this path that was both led him to these highs in his life, but also these lows, because
plus he was really young.
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
He was only 19 when he became the champion.
Oh wow, okay, so he must have started fighting. He was a teenager.
Yeah, he started fighting when he was 13. So he was a teenager fighting grown men, because he was huge. They said at 13 he was almost 200 pounds. So I mean, I couldn't imagine having that much money and being the champion of the world at 19 years old.
Yeah, it gets.
He wasn't even old enough to drink.
And that's the thing that I think people also don't realize, that somebody like Mike Tyson, who, here you are, and you might have so many, like most people, you have multiple things you like to do and you're interested, but when your whole world just values you for how fucking hard you can punch the other guy, and they pay you millions of dollars for it, that's when you start realizing sort of like, well, yeah, I guess that's the only thing I'm good at. And you kind of become almost like this animal, you know what I mean? Like people, it's like you become what people want you to become, right?
Exactly, and, which is an animal at the end of the day.
Yeah. And so I'm not surprised, even if he did do, not to excuse it, let's say if he did, but he did do whatever, he attacked some people or he maybe raped somebody, because at the end of the day, those are like the kind of things he had to sort of, I guess, overcome himself, learn to control it, and realize that there's more to him. And like now, like you see, now he's a funny guy. He's entertaining in other ways, knows how to sell products. And like I love his cameos when he appears in movies and whatever. And he's just, I can see he's kind of turned around, right? He's become more than just this, scary guy in the ring, right? Wow, look at that crazy mask. Again, this is all part of the show, right?
It's all part of the show. But and that's another difference, going back to Mike Tyson. One of the things I liked about him is Mike Tyson wasn't in for all the flashy shit. He was just there to knock someone out. Like, he came out, no robe, no socks, already, you could see he already built up a sweat in the back. Like, he was just ready to tear into somebody. Like, this stuff's cool, though, at the same time. But I've always just liked that about Mike Tyson, the seriousness.
Let's just, I mean, you can't compare these guys to Mike Tyson. I mean, I don't think you can compare anybody really to Mike Tyson. He really was.
No, you really can't.
Yeah, somebody on his own. But so he really he didn't need any other gimmicks, I would say. He just was there to friggin' fight, and people knew he could fight. But I think also, and also now, like again, I get handed to these guys, these brothers, even though I know that a lot of people like hate on them. I got to give it to them because they know how to make it exciting, how to make it a big show. And again, fill out these arenas and sell all these pay-per-view tickets and all that stuff because of stuff like this, that they put on this, the drama before the fights, and then they put on this kind of thing and the way they dress up. So,
well, I mean, I get both sides because, to be honest, when I first heard about them, I wasn't a fan at all. Like, I thought they seemed kind of annoying on
me too.
on film. Like, they seem like, I know, but that's like the audience they were going for, right? So I think that's kind of just like that personality you have to have. But honestly, after the boxing, after like the first few fights, they started to grow on me, especially those last couple knockouts Jake had. You have to respect it. Like, he knocked out, a top UFC fighter recently. So
yeah. I mean, I'll tell you. I at least I guess I'm maybe in that sense that I know how to, or at least within me, I can separate the personality from somebody's achievements. So like, it's like for example, like politics, right? Like Trump. Many people, oh my God, like they either love him or they hate him. And like to me, I always looked at Trump like, I don't know, maybe he's a complete dickhead in real life. I don't know. I mean, I only know of two people that personally like, met him and told me their opinion. And they were both different opinions. So to me, I'm like, well, I never met the guy. I don't know anything about Trump as a person. Maybe he's a complete dickhead. But what he did, some of the things, I thought he did well. And so that doesn't mean that he's not a dickhead. Maybe he is still, But I certain things I definitely agreed with. And so the same thing, I guess, with Tyson, when people were shitting all over him, I thought, I don't know, yeah, maybe he did do this bad thing or whatever, right? What he was accused of or whatever. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he's a freaking amazing fighter, probably one of the greatest. And the same thing with the Logans, the Paul brothers. Both of them, like, I don't like a lot of the stuff they did on YouTube. I think they did kind of bring down a lot of like the quality of the content on YouTube. So I didn't like it, especially me being, one of those YouTubers. But at the same time, I also got to hand it to them, like now seeing them fighting like that. No, I mean, they're I still wouldn't consider them one of the best, but they're definitely, like Mike Tyson said, they have a skill, right? They're not getting knocked out, or at least not by everybody.
No, yeah, and that makes me wonder, like, what do you think is going to happen when they finally, not they, because Logan's already lost, but what do you think is going to happen when Jake takes his first loss? Do you think that's going to affect his ability to sell fights?
No, I mean, there's been many other big fighters who lost and they came back. Like, if you're already built that following and that thing, then and at the end of the day, when you know how to, put on a show, then I think people will watch, right? So
that's true. But at the same time, I think part of the reason why he sells a lot of fights is, like I said, the people that don't like him, they want to see him. They want to see him get knocked out. So what happens when he does get knocked out? Will those people still want to see him get knocked out again? Like, when you've seen it once, like, will you care the second time? Maybe. Who knows?
I would probably. I mean, if like I said, like personally,
fuck him up
personally
again.
Personally from what I've seen, I'm not a big fan of any of these brothers. Right? I respect a lot of the stuff that they do, and I gotta admit it. They're amazing athletes, and they're amazing in terms of marketing and all that stuff. I mean, they're doing so many things. I mean, from what I saw, they're running a podcast, right? They're running. They're in multiple, like online social media channels that are very successful. So they definitely know, they're successful in a lot of different aspects, right, of life. Mm-hmm. And I gotta hand it to them. I don't like a lot of the shit that they've done, so I'm not, I don't have respect as human beings. Like, oh my God! But when it comes to fighters, yeah, I think they know how to put on a good show. And even if I saw, let's say, Jake get knocked the fuck out like really badly, if he was willing to get back up, that would maybe even make me want to respect him more. If after a big loss, if he was willing to get up and be like, okay, I'm gonna fucking, like, maybe even challenge the same guy again or whatever, like, then I'll be like, hey, okay, let's see what he does. If he gets knocked out again, then I'll be like, okay, just maybe slowly you would think, but it wouldn't right away make me go just like, oh no, they're shitty fighters. And maybe part of this is because I know how hard boxing is. How sometimes it's just literally you drop your guard for a little bit and that's it, you're out.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
But I do respect I do respect the ability and the dedication that they've actually brought to it. They're not like like we said when I first heard it, I thought it was just going to be a joke, but you can see that they've taken it really seriously.
Here, like this drama.
I know. As soon as I'm like, they take it pretty seriously. You just see this guy just over the ropes talking shit. But that's a part of their thing, right? Like that they're just on to the next. They're selling the next fight right there, right? So that's kind of smart.
Yeah, exactly. They're
free commercial
when it comes
right
to
now.
market. Yeah, when marketing, they're pretty damn good. And interesting times we live in. Definitely, if somebody told me that, like, well, first
A
of all, like,
YouTuber would be one of the biggest boxers,
yeah, then I'd be exactly.
especially them. I honestly, like you said, you saw them before, so you knew that they were big, but I didn't know that they were like you know, like bigger guys or anything like that, or like when I saw them, they just looked like a couple of annoying kids. But
Yeah. But I mean, you know, so you also respect them now as athletes, at least, right?
yeah, as athletes, you have to like Mike Tyson said, like they're beating up guys they have no business beating up. Like, so you kind of have to respect that. Like, how many people can get off their couch and you know go fight a professional athlete? There's not many. Oh, this fight, Nate Robinson. Now, see this stuff, like, I can't say I respect as much. Like, it's still respectable because Nate Robinson's a top level athlete, but at the same time, like, look at his technique. Like, you could see Nate Robinson had no idea what he should have never been in there. He had no idea what he was doing. I mean, that's not Jake's fault that he didn't pick up on boxing the way he should have, but like anybody with some actual boxing skill would.
But if you were in that ring. But if you're in that ring, you'd still know he can knock you the hell out. I mean,
who?
You know, the thing, Robinson, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. As an athlete, yeah, like I'm sure he's not like a bitch, but like I just mean in terms of like, because fighting on the street, Nate Robinson could maybe beat him up. Who knows? But fighting on the street's a lot different than fighting with rules in the ring, right? So and the fact that like he clearly. Like, he's not even keeping his hands up. He's rushing in. He's almost trying to like tackle him almost. Like the jabs are, I don't know. There's just everything is just wrong, and it was bound to happen. Like, you can tell even from right here that he was gonna get knocked out. Like, it was just a matter of time. He's wide open.
Now, what do you think? Because I remember when I watched this fight. One thing I was like, it's just not the same without the audience. That was to me like that live audience right there.
Yeah, it's really not, like, because you don't have the cheering or anything. But you know what? Yeah. I found that they did a good job of hiding that because like how dark it is. You don't really you notice it, but it's not as noticeable because of how dark it is. And then plus the commentating with Snoop Dogg, like cracking jokes the whole time.
Yeah, they did a good job. I mean, you know, I guess they did as good of a job as you can. But to me, and you kind of know that millions of people are still watching online. But to me, I was just like, nah, like you gotta bring back like these, like there's just something about the atmosphere at these arenas, and you feel it, like it just comes across on the, you know, when you're watching the you know, live streaming or on a TV set. It's just,
yeah, I think that knockout's coming up. Oh, yeah, it's coming
brutal.
Up. That was the first one.
I mean, yeah. There's, you know, like I guess, you know, Tyson kind of summed it up nicely, as in these guys are, you got to give them respect, right? They're not, you know, they're going out there and they're winning fights. So
this was the first fight that I find that he
so
got a little bit more
Paul?
Respect for. This was Jake again. This was Jake versus Ben Askren, which was a good few. Well, I can't even say it was a good fight. It wasn't that long, but. The thing is,
hey, some of the greatest Mike Tyson fights lasted, you know,
like seconds. But
yeah, literally.
The thing with this fight is, I thought it was good because he was fighting now a higher caliber of opponent. Because Ben Askren was, you know, pretty up there as a MMA fighter. But on the other hand, Ben Askren also was never known for boxing. He has terrible boxing. He was never a power, like I don't think he has any knockouts. I'd be shocked if he did. Not none that I know of.
So he's what, more like a wrestler?
He's an Olympic level wrestler. Like wrestling wise, he would have like destroyed Jake. But like as a boxer, he's literally one of the worst like, I'm not even exaggerating, literally one of the worst like hands in the UFC.
But so this, if anything, this just proves though why are all these guys, right, coming from these other disciplines?
But that's my point. Is he picked, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but he picked a guy who doesn't have, in this fight, he picked a guy who has no knockouts, no knockout power. His boxing's terrible. Like, if you go back and watch Ben Askren's fights in the UFC, like, boxing is the furthest from his strong suit.
Yeah.
So he picked a guy that he knew had the least amount of chance of really doing much damage in terms of boxing.
Yeah, but you know why they're agreeing to all these fights, these other fighters, right, against these,
So they need the money.
Exactly. Like they and so that you see that they're realizing, holy fuck, these kids can make me way more money than any of the fucking
Well, not even just that, but Ben Askren's done. Like he's done as a fighter because like
but I bet you he probably made more money in this one fight than he probably if maybe to his whole other
probably
career,
did. He did. And then, but is it
that's
worth?
The thing. Like these guys are.
Is it worth it though? Getting knocked out by a YouTuber as a professional fighter, that's pretty. I
know what you mean, but at the end of the day, dude, when you're retired and that's all you've got, all you've got is just whatever. I won some fights and all that stuff, but I'm, I need to get paid now.
Well, that article that I have there says that he was embarrassed by his loss.
Oh, this one?
No, the one under it. That yeah, it's
we're gonna provide these links, by the way, for you guys if you wanna. If you want to read these, we'll provide the links of these in the description. And also, I just wanted to give a quick little notice to anybody who's watching the podcast. I know our audience is slowly growing, so if you guys have any, you just want to send us a thank you, we appreciate it. Or if you want a suggestion maybe for like a topic that we can talk, maybe you guys are interesting yourselves, maybe somebody we can talk to, or maybe you know somebody who's interesting, then drop us an email at galgatv@gmail.com. So just putting it out there. Oh, so he did say that? Yeah.
He did. But I mean, because it is. Like, I mean, you're a professional fighter. Some guy comes off of YouTube and beats your ass in front of the world.
How old was he here when he got knocked out?
That I don't remember how old Ben Askren was. But I know his UFC career is, it's already been over for a bit. So, he's not in his prime. Tyron Woodley, that was the first fight that they had, ended in win for Jake. He outpointed him. And now in this fight, this was the first one that I think for me, I all around had to give him some respect because Tyron Woodley has knockout power. And he's knocked people out. He has great highlight.
To be honest, I remember when I was watching this fight, I thought, okay, this was gonna be it. Like
I thought this was gonna be the one he was gonna lose. And to be honest, if you remember near the last round, either in the 7th or the 8th, I want to say it might have even been the 7th. Tyron Woodley he tagged him with a clean shot, and I feel like Jake was like it wobbled him, and I think that had he moved in, like I was on my couch, like, what are you doing? Because it's like. He hit him, and I'm just like, yo, if he moves in and he just, hits him a couple more times, I think he's going to knock him down. I think that would have won the fight for him.
Okay. Like, so what, you think that was on purpose? Like, he took easy on him, or he just made a mistake?
No, I don't think so. I think he made a mistake. I think what happened was he realized that he probably underestimated him a little bit. And I think, not that he was scared, but I think he was being cautious because he didn't want to lose. Mm-hmm. But I think that's what kind of messed him up in the second fight that they ended up having, because in the second fight, he ends up getting knocked out. And I think the reason why he got knocked out is because he realized in the first fight he was being too careful, but I think he overdid it in the second fight by not being careful enough. So, but this one was a good fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Like here, again, aside from being able to put on a show, they can also put on, an entertaining fight, right?
Exactly.
There's, you see the speed, you see the power, and like there, wow, he got hit.
And the thing is, like, Woodley's...
Was that the punch that you're saying, or he?
I don't think so. No, it wasn't that punch. It wasn't that punch. It was later. It was later in the rounds, but they like he got him a few times even leading up to that. But no, Woodley was a good fight. I want to see him fight an actual boxer though. Is the thing, because these UFC guys, like, it's still impressive and yeah, it's good, but like I want to see him fight somebody, because as good as Woodley is, he's not like you can see that he's not technically like a boxer. Like he's good, and he's showing that he has like some skill, but he's not. You can see it's not a boxer.
Yeah, you can see here he's tired.
Just by the way, even here, like why'd he back up? He punched him through the ropes.
Yeah.
And then he just stood there and looked at him like it's the UFC where you like, you walk off after you hit somebody or something like.
Ooh, and those slow motion shots are
devastating. But I think he just didn't move in for the kill. It was his downfall for this fight.
Good fight though, still, right?
It was definitely.
Let's see here what else we got.
This knockout, man, I could not believe it.
Oh, damn. I don't think I watched this fight then.
He just went, good night.
Wait, I thought I did watch it.
This was the second fight.
Oh, that was the second one. Okay, so that was the one
They had a rematch because I think it was Tyson Fury's brother was supposed to fight him, and then he backed out for an injury. And Woodley was already trying to fight Jake Paul since the last fight because he didn't believe he lost. And I don't know if you saw it, but Woodley actually got a tattoo. I think I might have even put a link in there. He got a tattoo of because they had a bet before the fight that if Woodley lost, he had to get a Jake Paul tattoo.
Oh man!
And Woodley lost, and I didn't think he was gonna do it, but he did it, and he did it smart because he got a tattoo on his middle finger that says "I love Jake Paul." And the reason why that's smart is because anybody that does tattoos, like I used to still do tattoos. And
oh yeah, you did. So you still do it?
Every now and then. But when you do tattoos on your hands, that will fade the fastest. Oh, so okay. Like the fact he did it on his finger when he showed it like
on the
weeks
inside,
later,
you mean? On the
inside, he did it on the inside, right? So the thing is, once you get a tattoo on the inside of your finger, it would kill. Like that would hurt. But it would fade so fast. That's why a lot of people don't really get tattoos there, because it's like you're always like there's always gonna be friction and dead skin and stuff. So it goes quick. So when he showed that middle finger tattoo later, it actually was already almost faded out.
That was a good hit. I mean, I can't believe he dropped his defense. But I mean, it's so quick too. He just dropped his left arm just for a moment. And then bam, he was getting ready to jab him or something, and he was. Jeez. But you can see, that was
instant lights out.
Oh yeah. I mean, you get hit like that. That's it. I mean, it's just
instant lights out. Where did he hit him? Can you rewind that one more time?
You can't.
Because I've seen it, but I just wanted to see that one more time from that angle.
Yeah,
because it didn't even look like normally it's in the jaw when you get that knockout shot, but that looked like
well,
it was
if you get
in
the side of the head, it just shakes your whole brain. I mean, there's nothing. I don't care how tough you are. You're out. It's like in the ear. He punched him in the ear, which is
the ear. Jeez.
Yeah, that's it. Shakes your whole brain, and that's it, man. You're out.
You can see just by the way he fell, he was literally just out. That wasn't even like he was kind of out. Like he was out. Instantly, hands to the side, just dropped.
Yeah, and you can see it. Like he snapped his head like that.
Damn.
I mean, it's almost like, ooh, makes it painful for me to watch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it might even have been in front of his mom, too. I know his mom was at the first fight.
Yeah, that must be hard for because everybody thinks, oh, these are tough guys, whatever, right? And like I said,
that's still somebody's kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you watch, whether it's your kid, your brother, whatever, like you watch that and you go, holy shit, like that.
Oh yeah. So they were saying, that's the thing with after all these fights. Like I was just watching you scroll through these. They were basically saying that you're going to the True Gordy interview. This is actually really interesting. Actually,
was it an interview?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen for it.
coach of Tyron Woodley, Faraz Sahabi, who I previously mentioned to you in the last show we did, who picked against you, I think, last time. He's come out and picked against you again, and he's also said, which this really pissed me off, actually, he thinks you're on performance enhancers. I don't know if you've seen this comment from him. He didn't at any point say why, in terms of why he thinks, like, he never said he looks a certain ways. He just said, oh, those guys, you know, it's boxing. And I just thought to have no basis to say that really shocked me, but I wanted to know how it feels for you to have that labeled at you. Yeah,
I look at it as a compliment, right? These MMA guys are running out of excuses on why their guys are losing. And to make a claim like that out of nowhere just shows like he should be embarrassed. You know, my manager texted me that I woke up in the morning and he was like, George St. Pierre's coach is saying that you're using PEDs, FYI. And I was like, so I literally swiped my phone up, went to Safari, and I Googled what's PEDs. And I swear to God, I swear on my mom's life. And it says performance enhancing drugs. I'm like, oh my God. Like these guys are trying to do anything at this point to discredit me, to make me look stupid, or to make any excuse. And what the crazy part about it is, like, dude, these are real pro fights. Like, we get drug tested. So how can you even make this claim? Like, you know, it's clout.
Well, his point, when I watched the video, his point was that, it's not as stringent as the UFC testing. But, you know, my point to return to that would be, do your fucking research. Like, how old are you, Jake?
24.
Right, you're a very young guy, okay? Since I've known you, your physical body, obviously, it's changed a very small amount from all of the training that you've done. But it's hardly like you've packed on 20 pounds of muscle. Like, you know, you're getting fitter, you're getting stronger, but your body, your physique, and I know that, look, there's some stuff that it doesn't show up or whatever, but
it's just about the whole steroids thing. What do you think? Do you think either of them took steroids?
I don't know. I mean, you know, I guess if it finds out, you find out. I don't see why they would do it though, because, like I said, it's not like they're not the greatest fighters. You know, maybe they'll get even better as they find more fights. But like kind of like we said, so sometimes they're a little sloppy. Sometimes, you know, they pick fighters that are, you know, sort of out of a different style, or, you know, way older and stuff. So they're very careful about the fighters that they pick. Not to, again, diminish the fact that we know what they've accomplished, but it's just I think like he said in this video, where it's kind of stupid. It basically looks like you're coming up with excuses of why these, you know, all of these, you know, even if they are retired UFC fighters are losing, right? It's like, well then just send a guy in there to knock him out.
Well, I mean, right? It's like, okay, like I get it, but I see both sides, because I think it's fair that they're saying that, because the reason why he would do it is because he's going in against these guys. I mean, if he was smart and he knew he can get away with it, he probably would be on steroids, because he would need the help in terms of these guys have a lot. They've been training for a lot longer. I'm not saying that he's on roids, but I could see why he would be if he was. And as far as what that guy said on there, I don't really agree with his reasoning as to why he's not on steroids, just because none of that made any kind of sense.
What do you mean? Like the fact that he hasn't, like his body hasn't built up muscle?
Yeah, like that's a stupid, like that's a very old, dumb way to think about steroids. Like steroids don't work that way. So it's like okay, so think about it like this.
So you're saying what? He would not pack on extra muscle or nothing?
No, that's crazy. That's what people think steroids do, but they don't actually do that. Like, okay.
Well, I'm not saying steroids themselves do it, but I mean the fact that you're taking out these drugs means you can train harder.
It would depend on the drugs he's taking. It would depend on the like they're making.
You can train harder with those drugs, right? Meaning you would get more fit, right?
Not visibly. Like, okay, look at Lance Armstrong. Does he look like a guy that was on steroids? Look at his body. He just looks like your average skinny guy. Like he was on all kinds of steroids. Like they do different things. So like there's steroids that are used for like endurance. There's steroids that are used to pack on muscle. There's steroids that are used for just muscle endurance. So like boxers would never, like, unless you're a heavyweight or you're trying to get to a heavyweight, a boxer wouldn't use steroids that are going to pack on a bunch of muscle, because they don't need that kind of showy muscle. They more need like something that'll give them more endurance, something that'll help them get to those later rounds, something that might help them hit a little harder. So you can never look at somebody and think they're on steroids. Like, as an example, when Anderson Silva popped positive for steroids, if you look at him, he's another guy. He looks like an average. He actually looked worse than in his prime when he actually took the steroids. You know what I mean? So there's no way to really just look at somebody and be like, okay.
So
Well, I mean, like there are the obvious signs, like the acne, you know, like on the back. You know, there are visible signs. Not saying that
and
there
your balls
aren't.
get smaller, right?
That's one of the things that they say, but you know, so there's ways there are ways to see it, but like you can't necessarily just look at somebody and say he's not on steroids because he doesn't.
That's when you're supposed to say, "Well, I wouldn't know because I have huge balls," you know.
Exactly. But yeah, so I don't agree with why the guy said that though. But you know, not saying that he is on steroids. He might not be, and he might be. I don't know. There's no way to know. That's the thing. You can't. Who knows? Only he knows.
It says that the both of them though released their tests and that both men tested negative for any banned substances. So I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean that fight.
and that's why okay.
You know what I mean? Like Brock Lesnar also tested negative a bunch of times before he recently tested positive. Was he on steroids before? Was he on steroids now? Has he always been on steroids? Was he on steroids and was able to cycle it out? You know, it's hard to tell. You know what? The thing is, like, I feel like 80% or 70, maybe 70 to 80% of like a lot of these athletes are on steroids. A lot of them. They just don't get caught.
Oh shit, this is a good clip. I never thought.
Oh yeah, so that was another rumor. After all these, that's the thing. After all these guys' fights, you know, there's always some kind of a rumor that they.
I know, but this is kind of like
that they either cheated or there's always some kind of like scandal.
Yeah,
but this does look pretty good, like this angle of.
It does,
play
but I
that
remember
again.
I remember when I watched the fight though. Like it's when slow motion and everything always looks more dramatic, but when it happened so quickly, and I totally believe that he's a bigger guy, and so he basically swung, and his arm was already around him, and he just, you know.
But look, it looks like it does look like it could go either way. You know what? It wouldn't be the first time. Did you ever see that Mike Tyson's very first exhibition match after he retired?
No, I don't think so.
He was fighting this big guy. I think he used to be a sparring partner of his, and he hit him with a shot. I guess he got excited because it was only supposed to be an exhibition match, and he hit him with this shot, and he just buckled his knees. And Mike Tyson actually held the guy up. So I think a lot of people are thinking it's the same sort of thing.
Oh, really?
But you never know.
But to this day, did he ever confess about it or any of
Who, Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
Or yeah, for sure. The commentators were laughing about it. It was more clear than this, but like, but he definitely held him up to keep the fight going because nobody wants to. You know, it was an exhibition, right?
Well,
I mean, if in my opinion though, do I think Floyd held up Logan? I don't think that's what happened there, but I mean, it is hard to tell.
Well, I gotta say that at the end of the day, like I said, I don't know about these two guys personally. I don't know. Maybe they're complete dickheads. Maybe they're the coolest guys in the world. I don't know. But you gotta respect, like Mike Tyson said, their fighting skills and what they're doing for boxing. Because they're kind of getting, you know, I almost like I remember for years I thought, well, man, that's it for boxing. I mean, like if UFC, and, you know, that's it, right? That's where everybody's going. But now, I think there's a big chance that boxing might still come back to those days, you know, like in the 90s or you know, before the 90s.
You think so?
Even where it might be this. Well, I mean, they kind of already are when they're selling out these huge things and they're making as much money, you know, or more than a lot of these UFC fighters, right? And
boxing always had bigger money.
Why do you think? Why? Because I mean, UFC is a thing. Is it because or maybe it's true. Maybe like because I think it was one of the brothers was criticizing that Dana White from the UFC is like basically shortchanging right the fighters.
Yeah, that's what he says. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I don't really know. I never really did research, but if I was to just guess right now, I would say the reason is a few reasons. The first one being that a lot of people find UFC barbaric, I guess, because there's less rules. Not that there's no rules, but there's less rules. So more ways for people to get hurt, more chances for crazy shit to happen, like when Anderson Silva snapped his leg in half. Like you're not going to see that in boxing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but I mean, I also still think boxing is freaking dangerous. I think a lot of people just don't realize just how dangerous it is.
They're both dangerous, but I just feel like there's way more danger in the UFC in terms of what could happen. You can get kicked in your face, and you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more chances. Like they're both dangerous, but there's a lot more chances for shit to go wrong in the UFC, and I think. A lot of people that are on the fence of being cringy aren't going to want to see that shit. Like, even for me, like, I'm pretty good with seeing certain things and seeing Anderson Silva and Conor McGregor snap their legs in half.
Oh, I know.
Like, it wasn't pleasant. So, my mom
I know.
would have
Like,
lost her mind
whenever I saw that, or like somebody's, I forgot which fighter it was, that their arm also snapped in half. Like,
yeah, I've seen those.
It just makes me. It's kind of like those moments where you kind of want to turn away, but then you kind of can't because you're like, really? Did that just happen? But it makes me usually like grab my own arm or leg and I'm like, oh. It's like you can feel it. Like, damn.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I was like younger, there's always times where I'm thinking like, man, I wonder what it would have been like if I really tried to take that shit seriously, Like, and then I see some shit like that and I'm like, I'm so glad that I never did no shit like that. Fuck that.
No, yeah. And
I respect
imagine,
it though,
you
but
could be. I mean, because even if those bones heal, that leg.
You're
or
never
that
the
arm
same
is
again.
Never the same.
It doesn't heal the same. That's what they say.
No.
It'll heal, but it'll never be the same again. So,
No.
yeah, it's and that's what I mean. Like, I think things like that happening might drive people away. Also, I think boxing just has been around longer, so people just respect it more.
But it also it started dying, though, right? I mean, UFC
that too.
did.
And there's more betting in boxing too because it's more worldwide. There's like higher bets, and that puts way more money into the sport too. The Vegas betting and all that stuff. So I think all that stuff kind of plays a factor.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, like I said, I respect what these guys are doing, and like I said, in that realm, not to say that I like everything that they've done before on YouTube or Vine or Instagram, because I think some of the things those brothers have done are kind of that's kind of.
Definitely, yeah. No, they earn my respect because I mean, at the end of the day, like when I was first watching the fights, I was one of the people that was watching the fights to watch them get knocked out. But now I'm kind of more just watching the fight. I've noticed. So
they've earned your respect, basically.
Yeah, like now I'm not so like pressured to see one of them get their face knocked off. Like it's more like, okay, I want to see a good fight. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I respect them more for sure.
It's good. It shows you anything's possible. Even,
that's the thing.
Becoming a YouTuber and then
and then becoming a boxer, and that's the thing. When you get to a certain level, I think of just fame or like any kind of influence, you can kind of transition like that. You can like once you have that audience, that core audience that are going to just be with you no matter what, you can kind of move around like that. Like I'm sure if he was to get into acting even or whatever, I'm sure he'd have enough fan base that he could transition.
Probably, yeah. Like so many of these other athletes, right? So, all right. Well, let's finish up, I guess, with this episode. Unless you want to add something.
No, I think we covered that pretty good.
It was a fun episode again. Fun chatting with you. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. And I guess that's it.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.
Yep, that's it. Bye, guys.
Peace.